everybody, it's Pastor Phil for the Summertime Scripture Memory Challenge. I am chilling here in my backyard. We're going to stick in the book of Romans for this week. Really, really important verse. You're going to love it. I think it's a verse that every single Christian should know. It's Romans chapter 12:2. And it says, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect." I think I got that right. What a great scripture verse. Now, at first it sounds like it's complicated and there's a lot of words, but we're going to break it down into 3 sections today. The first section is what I call an imperative statement. Paul is saying this is something that you must not do and something that you must do, okay? And the imperative statement is this: do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed, all right? Now think about the difference between being conformed and being transformed. When you conform to something, you shape yourself into the surrounding situation so that you blend in. Think of one of those fish or like a lizard that changes its color so that predators don't see it. Those fish or animals or whatever are conforming to their circumstances, to their situation, to their surroundings, so that they blend in. Paul's saying, don't do that. Don't blend in. He's saying instead, transform. Transform yourself. Transformation is much different than being a conformist. Transformation is changing into something completely different. Think of a butterfly. Starts out as a caterpillar. You can hardly see it. Goes into a chrysalis for, I don't know, maybe 9 days. You can barely see that. But when it comes out, it is transformed into something completely different, something completely new, something that you would never mistake for its surrounding area. It's a beautiful butterfly. So Paul's saying, do that, change yourself. So that's the imperative statement. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed. That's the first part. I want you to write that down, and I want you to memorize that part. And then I want you to pause and go over it several times, and then come back to me. Okay, the second section of the verse then is what I would call the method. How do you transform yourself? He's saying you need to do it, but how do you do it? Well, he says, by renewing your mind, by the renewal of your mind. You've got to change this thing up here. The way you think, it can't be the same way that the world thinks. Now, we are inundated by the world. We are inundated by media. We are inundated by what this world would want us to be. And it is easy to conform and fall into line. If you want to renew your mind, you have to bring your mind to places where this renewing information is, primarily the Bible, through prayer, through the fellowship of other believers, so that your mind is being changed. Not one time, but the way he's writing this is changing over and over and over again. You're renewing your mind every single day. So you transform yourself by the renewal of your mind. That's the methodology. So I want you to get that part of the verse, the second part. By the renewal of your mind. Write that down. Say it a few times. Try it with the first section. Hit pause. And when you're done, come on back to me. Okay, the third section, and this is the best. This is the payoff. What do you get when you are transformed? What do you get when your mind is renewed? Well, what you get is this really special skill. It's the ability to discern what God's will is. And that is something that's amazing. And some people think, well, how could I ever do that? Well, it's right here in the scriptures. It says that by testing, you may discern what is the will of God. That by testing, you may discern what is the will of God. Think about that. When your mind is renewed, you can see different things happening around you, and you're going to know whether those are good things or bad things. You're going to know whether those are the things that God's called you to do or the things that God has called you to stay away from. Only a renewed mind can know that. So he says that by testing, you may discern what is the will of God, and here is the will of God. What is good, what is acceptable, and what is perfect. Good, acceptable, and perfect. Write those down. G-A-P, it spells gap. It's an easy way to remember the order of those words, because think of it this way. If you don't have a renewed mind, there's a gap in your thinking. So, that by testing, you may discern what is the will of God, what is good, what is acceptable, and what is perfect. I want you to hit pause here in a second. I want you to go over that little section of the Bible verse. And when you feel like you've got that, come on back to me. Okay, so let's put the whole thing together. Section 1, the imperative. Section 2, the method. Section 3, the payoff. Here we go. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. Memorize this one. This is a good one. Write it down. Put it around your house. Okay? Make a song out of it. Draw a picture. Act it out. Whatever method that you need to memorize this Bible verse, I hope you can do it, and I hope that God blesses you for it. And we'll see you next week for the Summertime Scripture Memory Challenge. God bless.